News on SBYnews.com. This is our special edition where we're interviewing candidates for all kinds of different positions. Dustin Mills, running for state delegate, House Delegates.
Yes, sir, 37A.
Welcome aboard, buddy. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Joe.
you being here and
Appreciate
spending
it.
time with us on this. Dustin, why are you running for that position?
Very simply, I don't like the way things are going in this state, up in Annapolis, and I believe the current delegate who sits in there doesn't represent the district. I think he's voted for significant tax increases and fee increases and bloated budgets that are putting the state in trouble, and we need to end that. We need to go back to an era of fiscal responsibility and let the taxpayers keep their money.
Cool. So why should the voters support you versus your opponent?
Well, I believe I have the knowledge to be a good delegate. Not saying that he doesn't, but he's been there for 12 years, and you couldn't tell if you looked at his record that he's learned anything. I have the passion, I have the desire, and I want to go up there and I want to make things better. I don't want to just go up there, sit in a seat, vote present, and show up. I want to go up there, I want to sponsor bills my first year, I want to co-sponsor, I want to lead debate, I want to go after it because there are significant changes that need to be made in this state, and we need to make them now.
Very good. Under the current administration, Maryland taxpayers have received the largest tax increase in history. How do you believe that the governor and the legislature should attack Maryland's current fiscal situation, and be as specific as you can?
Honestly, we could spend hours talking about how to make it's so out of control. It very simply starts with the basics. We've got to cut back the sales tax, okay? People on the eastern shores, especially, are going to Delaware to buy big ticket items, and I can't say I blame them. Exactly, Virginia, we need to roll back that sales tax. We need to cut a lot of these backdoor fees that people come up with. I'm thinking about how much it costs to register your vehicle. How much of it actually goes towards something good, or is it just paying salaries of people at the district motor vehicles?
Go to the Eastern Shore?
Exactly, probably not. No, it goes to one clearinghouse. I mean, we've got to cut income taxes, the corporate tax. We've got to bring jobs back to this state and bring money back to people here. And the way we do that is by lowering the corporate income tax. All right, we cut government spending, because that's one reason taxation is so high, as you and I both know, is government spending is out of control. Currently, this is just a statistic for you, 5.5% of all state government jobs don't have anyone in that position, yet they still receive funding. That comes to almost $150 million a year we spend on positions that have nobody in them. If we eliminated that waste, we'd go a long way towards cutting the taxes because we don't have to spend as much.
Right.
So, I mean, it's very simple. If you cut spending, you cut taxes, you'll see a better state government, the state economy.
Okay. If elected, will you support the repeal of both the sales tax increase and the so-called millionaire surtax? If so, how would you pay for it?
Oh, absolutely. The millionaire's tax, I love when they crowed about it when they passed it, said, oh, this is going to make so much money in the state of Maryland. But showing it's actually lost money because people are leaving the state. It's capital flight. No one wants to be here. They want to say, well, why would I do that? A cool thing, not cool, but something interesting people are doing is they're going to Florida and they're living literally half a year plus 1 day in Florida so they can pay Florida state taxes. Actually, there's no income tax in Florida. They don't have to pay taxes at all, yet they live in Maryland the other half of the year because this is where they want to live. But that's what people are doing. They're coming up with ways around the system. And the sales tax, like we just talked about, going into Delaware, people do it all the time. And how would I make up the lost revenue? Very simply, like I said, cut spending. You know, a lot of people say, well, when you cut taxes, you lose revenue. A report out of San Francisco, the Reserve Bank in San Francisco came out with a report that said for every $1 in tax cuts, you see $3 in increased revenue. So if we were to cut taxes significantly, it spends itself. Right? If people say we reduce the sales tax back to 5%, if not lower, people are going to come back to Maryland to buy tickets because I firmly believe we have some of the best retailers and small business owners here in this state. People will spend their money locally again, which puts that money back in the economy. So I don't think we would see a significant revenue loss because you'd see increased spending and people bringing money back into the state.
Cool. Under the current administration, we've seen a great effort by the state to force Wycomico County to strip farmers of their property rights by taking away many of their development rights. Do you support this? If not, will you commit, if elected, to support legislation to get the state government out of local planning decisions and, if need be, eliminate the Maryland Department of Planning?
Absolutely. Counties should run themselves. You know, harken back to the days when we passed the Constitution. We were under a federalist system. All right? There's a federal government and a state government. The federal government said, here's our limited powers. Right. We're going to let the states control themselves. Well, I think that same philosophy can apply to this state. We have the state government and there's certain duties it has, and then we have the county government and there's certain duties it has. They don't need to be mixing. Talking about government spending, Dorchester and Wycomico counties with their highway user fees are getting 5% of what they should be getting. The state is keeping 95% of the money, which by right should go completely back to the county. That's absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason they should be holding counties hostage because they need more money. Back to agriculture, farmers should be able to do with their land what they see fit. It's personal property, it's private property. It's not the state's right to say, I'm sorry, you can't do that. The county level is much more local. Most of the farmers know that local planning and zoning people. They may not know the state people. So they can say, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do. What can we work out and figure it out? The state should keep out of county affairs and let people do what they want with their own property.
Cool. Okay. In your opinion, what are the greatest challenges facing the Lower Shore, and how do you believe that you can help solve the problems of elected?
That's a great question. The two biggest problems facing the Lower Shore, job creation and agriculture.
Good answer.
Both of them are being run out of this state. We talked about the corporate income tax. It currently is 8.5%. Maryland is ranked as the 48th most unfriendly state to do business in. We have to change that attitude. We change that attitude, we lower taxes, we tell companies, hey, come here, we've got a low cost of living, we've got a great standard of living, but a very low cost of living. They're not going to have, you know, their employees will be competitive, they won't have to spend a bunch of money on payroll, and come down here, there's plenty of infrastructure readily available. If we attract these companies to come here, we'll see an increase in jobs, and that includes small businesses and large businesses, because a lot of times, as large businesses grow, small businesses crop up to help support those large businesses. So that's what I would do for job creation. Two, talking about agriculture, we've got to get the government off these farmers' backs. Like we just talked about planning and zoning. Take it a step further, the Maryland Department of the Environment breathes down the necks of these farmers on a regular basis. I was talking to a farmer the other day, and I said, what is your biggest concern with state government? And his answer was priceless. He said, they got to quit meddling in our affairs. It's plain and simple. You can't tell a farmer what to do with his property, what to do with his crop, because farmers are small businessmen. Their objective is to make money. So if we're telling them what to do, then we're not really helping them out, we're hindering them. No new chicken house is built in almost 18 months. I mean, that's ridiculous. The poultry industry is critical to the Eastern Shore. Historically, it's been the economic engine, and if we let the poultry industry go by the wayside, it's going to kill this area. We've got to support our farmers. We've got to stand up for them and say, hey, look, don't blame them for the Chesapeake Bay. That's my favorite thing. The Maryland Department of the Environment and a lot of the leading Democrats in Annapolis want to blame farmers for the problems with the bay. And while certainly farmers have a role to play in that, farmers are the first environmentalists. They're going to take care of the ground because, as we talked about, they need the ground to make money. So why would you blame them when only 15% of the Chesapeake Bay watershed is actually in the state of Maryland? The other 85% is in New York, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia. The list is long. So why would we continue to overburden our farmers when they're doing more than enough? They're doing more than their fair share. We need to communicate with Virginia, with Pennsylvania, and work something out. Get the government off their backs, let them grow their own poultry, their own crops, and let them do what they want with it.
Dustin, we have to wrap up, but I think it's important if we can fit this in to explain to everybody your background, because you're a young guy, you're very enthusiastic, and I certainly wish you the best of luck out there. But I think it's important people know what your political background history is real quick.
Well, I've been involved with politics here since I moved here 5 years ago. I was College Republicans president for 2 terms, was campaign manager for Michael James for House of Delegates while I was still in college. Currently the executive vice president of the Wycomico County Republican Club, on the Wycomico Republican Central Committee, and founding member of the Lower Shore Young Republicans. So I've been involved, I've been in Annapolis, I know the key players, I can work with them, I can get it done. I may be 25, but that's okay. I think that gives me the energy to do what needs to be done up there.
And I agree with you.
Thank you, Joe.
I appreciate you coming in here.
Absolutely.
Folks, we appreciate your support and coming back again tonight. We will see you tomorrow night. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Joe.
Good night.